little DC oil pump here next to a battery. Haphazard manner. Perfectly safe. Suction from over there. That's the side that needs replacing. You can see there, whoever Dad's running, the old valve. And over there is the new valve. So we're moving all the fuel over to the starboard side and do the same thing over there. And down in here, stand by.
Oh, by the way, we fixed that leak too.
Down here.
Just had to tighten up the elbow a touch. So
Oh yeah.
something good to keep in mind when you're doing plumbing is just don't go all like Superman and tighten fittings down as tight as you possibly can. Because what you do is, you know, threads are tapered, and what you're doing is you're deforming the threads, and that's what basically makes the seal. You know, with the help, of course, of some Teflon tape or PTFE. But if you go ahead and you just crank those things down as tight as you possibly can, you'll distort those threads so much that they won't seal, and you'll never be able to get it tight enough to prevent it from leaking. So you want to tighten things up and make them snug, and then if they leak, you tighten them up a little bit more until they stop. It's simple. Yeah, and that's a perfect example of that.
Yeah. No,
Especially with stainless. Stainless can be especially bad for that. Over tightening right off the get-go, and you can't do anything about it.
So Dad's back here. That is where we just showed you through the hatch cover where the fuel tanks are and the water tank. And it's a bit oily back there just from our valve switcheroos and
General
slight leak and
crud.
Yeah, it was pretty dirty. Dad hopped down there earlier and
50 years of crud.
scratched a bunch of crud up, and we vacuumed it up much better already.
So we got to get the surface really clean, free of oil. We're going to be coming back over this, putting a layer of glass on this basically to create a separation point for future when we remove this rear bulkhead back here. You can see the stuff is delaminated from the plywood. That's never going to stick. That's a given. There's oil, there's fuel in this bulkhead.
Yeah, just fully saturated.
This stuff will
plywood.
never stick no matter what you do. You strip it off, you clean the wood, it's still not going to stick. So there's no reason to even try and make it. We're just going to come over here with a layer, and we'll create a separation point, and then we'll put new stuff in here once our stringer is in. And then when we do remove this bulkhead, we'll just remove that along with that piece, that layer that we put in, and we'll clean it up. And all this stuff will just get peeled off. This tabbing will have to stay because once we put our stringer in here and this new piece of bulkhead that's going to cover this area and clean this up, you can see that it's on there.
Yeah, it's solid.
That's no problem. We'll be able to come back in from the other side, and we'll just cut it right along here, you know, up off the hole a little bit, and then we'll just clean it up, ferret out a little bit, and we'll put in our new bulkhead. You know, this is our stopping point right here. This is the next phase, this bulkhead and the area aft. And so you always kind of have to be thinking how you're going to deal with that, because what you want to avoid is disturbing the brand new materials that you went through all the trouble to put in. You don't want to have to cut that stuff out if you can avoid it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Future planning is always a good thing to do on a boat.
Yeah.
Because there's just so much change going on, and you're already in there anyway.
Yeah. Looking at it, knocking on it. Hollow.
Solid.
Solid, and it hurts my knuckles to rap on it, so.
Somebody dug out some rot there once before and backtracked a little bit, filled in their little exploration or something like that.
Yep,
Hard to
so
tell.
our thought is that if we just rebuild this up and basically create a new bulkhead in this space right here, and then we'll remount our packing gland against that, then we can come back in later when we're on phase 2 we can tear this stuff out behind it and we can build it up on the backside, whatever it needs. You know, but at least getting that off of there, we can look in there. We'll see if there's, you know, a proper fiberglass stern tube or exactly what they have going on, because at this point we have no idea. We've never been in there. So
Yep.
a lot of this project is about learning and figuring out how it was constructed or what's been done to it in the past, and then make it how we want it.
Grinding action over.
Yeah.
So now
Always
we're
fun.
moving into, I guess, prepping to lay down some glass.
Yeah, just kind of a quick cleanup. Dust everything off again. Wipe the surfaces down with some acetone, or we'll be glassing. We're just focusing on the two bulkheads, the forward and aft bulkhead. And also where our stringer will go down, we're going to lay down a couple layers of chop strand. We've got a bunch of cut-offs from all the panels that we've been laminating up, so we'll use up some of that material and just lay it down where the bottom of this will rest, and that will just basically pull everything together. The old hull, the roving that's there, chop strand will adhere to that well. And just going to take a quick look at this fiber filler. This is some ortho structural putty, just polyester resin, and it's got milled glass fibers in it. So look at that, it's pretty blue color.
Nice.
So yeah, that'll be jabbing. Yeah, the stuff should be nice to use.
Oh, there's that resin smell.
Oh, there it is, yummy. Yeah, usually we just mix the stuff up ourselves, and well, they sell it by the gallon all ready to go. Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
It's gonna save us a lot of time.
Looking forward to that. You mix up the microfibers, or the milled fibers, and the microbloons, or was it silica? And it just like puffs everywhere if you're if you go too fast, so it's kind
Yeah.
of annoying.
And so this is actually just milled fibers too, so it doesn't have any talc. Cavasil, I'm thinking that's probably what CaCO3 is, I'm not really sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm guessing that's probably maybe the Cavasil. Cavasil and talc are basically more or less the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So this is actually just like ground up fiberglass.
I'm curious how it'll turn out for like fillets in the corners and stuff. It'll be
It'll
be
good.
smooth.
Look at
It looks pretty smooth.
It looks very smooth.
Yeah.
So I think it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, so all you gotta do is just dump some of this into a cup. We brought a little scale down here. So we'll just dump whatever we think we need in a cup, tear this out, and then you get a weight on it and just mix it 1% with MEKP, 1% by weight. And so very easy to figure out, and yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
I think it should be nice.
I think so.
Yeah, it's really gonna beat mixing that. Such a big job. Usually on other stuff we've done, we've used a fair amount of putty, to be honest with you, but this is a lot more. We're gonna need a lot of putty on this job. So we picked up a couple gallons. We'll probably get a few more here. We gotta put in another order for some more fiberglass cloth. Probably pick up another case of foam, and we'll see about this stuff. We might get a couple more gallons of that. We'll kind of find out how far this stuff goes on
Yeah,
this.
because that'll give us good indication with the stringer, huh?
Yeah.
Because we're gonna bed the whole thing.
Yep, and fill it in the sides to get a nice curve for the glass for the tabbing to follow, and so we'll be able to measure that out and then kind of get an idea. We'll know how much our bulkhead needs and everything. That's the major things right there, is just the bulkhead and the stringers.
Yeah.
We'll use some in other places, but not a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
Getting substrate scrubbed up with smashed tone. Probably can't even hear me because I'm behind the mic.
Little acetone white. Looks good. I wiped that up. Not a lot of oil came out of it really, so it's whatever.
Yeah.
The important thing is the tabbing down here and on the hull. The rest of that will be fine. So. Rag's not too dirty. So we did a good job prepping so far, I guess.
Yeah, good. So we got our little hole filler here, just a couple of chunks of plywood screwed together, hammered in. Looks good. Guess I'll hop up and get supplies for our resin here. Get our glass supplies ready. Alright, so we're laying down our first strips. Just mixed up some of that putty. Looks like it's starting to change color a little bit.
So this layer of CSM is just to make sure we get a good bond to the hull. And our stringer is going to sit directly on top of this, so we want to make sure that we got a good bond underneath, and it also kind of helps to seal the end foam of our stringer when we set it down. So we'll bed it in putty when we plop it down here, and we'll get it all squared up, and once it sets a little bit, then we'll start tabbing it in. So this is going to help make sure that, yeah, we have a good bond. It's good. This stuff sticks really good. CSM does.
next chunk of fabric there is the CSM. It's the forward bulkhead. Get that all sealed off. All done with your putty, Dan?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, I'll just throw it on the back wall here. Right here. Pull it tight. Stretch it a hair. There you go. Good. Yeah. Start buttoning stuff up here. We'll have a good base to put our stringer in. That's the important thing. Yeah. Govin just kind of patchworking it in here. It's like Legos. Except with super glue. A strange analogy, but yeah. So we're just fixing to kind of extend our table out with a couple of hunks of aluminum here. These are the pieces for our stringer that's going in the fish hold, and I guess it's not quite 12 foot long, but just shy of 12 foot long. So we're going to take those aluminum pieces out, stretch them across here, and fasten them down to the backside there, and that'll give us a good platform to lay these out. It's going to be 2 layers. The base layer that we got down last night turned out good. We're happy with that. Dry fit them, and if they look good, then we'll mix this up a big old pail of putty, and we'll bed the edge down and get them kind of positioned into place, clamped into place, squared up, trued up. Once again, we'll use these rails for that. We'll put it alongside there so there's no flex or anything in them, and then once that stuff sets, we can start to tab those into the hull.
So much preparation, but it takes a long time to get to where you're actually putting stuff back together.
Yeah, it does. It's not even just the demo and cleaning stuff up and prepping it.
Yeah.
Then you got to figure everything out and get your measurements and things like that, and then actually laminate up the panels for those. A lot of measuring, cutting those to get them to fit. Mm-hmm. We actually have all the pieces for our other stringers, for the other stringer over there. We were really careful when we laid this out, and we had almost 0 waste on this. All we have to do is just mark out the other ones and trim it, but we were able to get both stringers out of the same pieces because they have a taper in them. So we just carefully laid it out. It was actually a little bit tricky because the way the layers are, it's got an angle on one side. So the piece that came off the inside forward piece one on the port side, the remnant from it becomes the outside piece on the starboard side, the aft piece. So it worked out fine, like within an inch or less probably. All right, well, we're gonna get this set up. Gotta cut some cloth,
this middle layer, so we'll be basically laminating onto the foam side of this and then stacking it. These aren't in order right now, they're just stacked up here. And so we'll be going in basically with a layer of chop strand on one side, then a layer of probably just some 090, and then another layer of chop strand, and then the next foam panel. That'll give us a nice sandwich, too thick, with a heavy layer on the outside, nearly a 1/4 inch on the outsides, and then that inside layer will be a little more than 1/8, I guess. That'll make these two panels really rigid after it sits, and then once they're in the fish hold, just bear in mind that they're still going to get tabbed to the hull, and then we'll put more concrete in the middle to replace the stuff we tore out, and then we'll be glassing fiberglass pan in there, which is going to come up the sides, and then our shaft alley cover will get tabbed and back down, and so we'll probably have close to a 1/2 inch build on the inside of this when we're done. So it's going to be a pretty solid box.
Yeah.
And then we'll have some cross pieces in there too to prevent it from racking, and the bearing blocks will be in there, which is going to add some support.
So we got our extended sort of laminating jig here. These panels are 136 or something inches long, longer than our table by quite a bit. So got just kind of our 2 pieces of aluminum here that we use to get the measurements on the hole to know where to trim our panels there, and we set them up here
On this precarious looking.
Yeah. We threw the level on it, and it seems like it's fairly flat, which is what we're after. So we'll grab it again. Looks like it's good up here.
Good now, huh?
Yeah, good up here. Check back here.
Looks good.
Looks good.
Yeah. So we'll put our first two pieces up here. We'll mix up a little bit of that putty, wet out the inside, squish some in between the layer, the 2 ends, the butt joint on them, and a couple of these have some gouges in them in the foam, so we'll just throw a little putty in those just to flatten it out, and then we'll wet it out, throw down our chop strand, trim it, roll that piece up, set it aside for the next layer, and you should stiffen these panels up pretty nice. I'm excited to see how they look.
Yeah.
And
also,
once those set up, then we can trim the excess glass off the edges. Yeah, we'll drop that in. We'll just kind of do a dry fit, make sure that everything looks okay, and at that point we'll grab these pieces of aluminum again, get them jigged up in there, because we're going to use those to make sure our panel sits straight. I don't know how rigid it's going to be, we'll find out. And we'll use that just to clamp the panel in place, and we'll do the same thing. Putty up the edges and drop them down and let them glue in, and then we can start tabbing.
yeah, the exciting part.
Yeah. Very exciting. And we'll move aft, get that little last piece that needs to go in back there, and we'll be in good shape.
Oh yeah, we also have some weights, just some barbell weights that we're gonna place throughout it to make sure our 2 layers squish together good.
That'll put it to the test right there, won't it?
Yeah.
Alright, there it is.
That's good.
Alright. Little putty glue between the 2 of these. Yeah. Little filler in a couple spots. Boom.
Gouges.
Yeah. Let's do it.
How's that, Dad?
I think so.
Good.
Yeah. It's soaked in a bit.
Yeah.
Just do our normal wet out on it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's start on that end, and we'll just roll it down, Yeah, so that one gets trimmed right there. Yeah, so just worry about that edge is all really.
Pull it your way here.
Huh?
Pull it your way. Good. Good.
And just tap it down maybe. The shears there now. Oh, this is really awkward.
Alright?
Yeah. Yeah, close is fine, right?
Yeah.
It might be better on others too. Okay, right there. Towards the middle. Got your end?
Yep.
Might have to get your finger over the top. Your end is critical, my boy.
right there is lined up. Okay, drop it. Looks good.
Yeah.
The top mislined a bit. Crisscross pattern. We're just in the middle.